Again, this is the action of the voice of God working within you to leave you a little better, a little bit more purified spiritual than before the experience. Each time your point of view shifts a little bit more in line with the spiritual, a little bit more in line with the divine, so that your viewpoints will slowly change from those people around you. In time, you'll find it very difficult to understand why people even bother with prayers to constantly beg for something, as if life on earth entitles them to anything simply for asking.
Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my Journey Faith for Compassion Hub. I'm Beatrice, and if you are new here, this is a space where I share my reflections and what I'm learning through the teachings of Ekankar. I don't claim to know it all or have all the answers, but I share from the heart in a way that helps someone else reflect too.
And so our talk tonight is the slow-burning love of God. Our theme this year, for the entire year, is the year of giving. And I began this theme last night, and I would like to continue it with examples of the different ways of giving. Because before you can receive, you must give. Now, we're always a little bit afraid to give of ourselves because someone may reject our gift, and this, of course, hurts our feelings. And especially if we have offered a gift that is very precious to us and have someone refuse it, it hurts deeply. And so we are a little afraid to give. And because of this fear, we find that we cannot receive. And we wonder, where is the secret and where is the key to receiving God's love? And as we go on tonight, I'll try to give you some indication of where to go and how to look for this, so that this blessing of the Holy Spirit may come and enter your heart. And here for our guests, I'll mention that the spiritual exercises of Ek are simple contemplations, in a way the equivalent in Ek for prayers. But whereas prayers that most people are used to are the kind that ask something of God, in contemplation we shut our eyes, listen, and wait for God to speak to us. A whole difference in approach. So many people in their prayers are used to telling God, do this for me, I want health. Finances aren't going very well, I need wealth. Everybody's always telling God what to do. And they wonder, why does God get sick of listening and doesn't ever do anything? But in Ek, through the spiritual exercises and this contemplative effort, we learn to listen to the voice of God. And the voice of God is the Holy Spirit, our term for Ek. The light of God may be yellow or blue or any of the other colors. It may look like a lamp, it may look like a spotlight, it may look like a flickering candle, or it may look like a lighthouse off in the distance. It may come as a soft glow, it may come as a piercing ray of light, it may come as a bolt of lightning, it may come in any number of ways to your inner vision. But each time you see the light of God, it will uplift you spiritually. It will make you somewhat a different and better person than you were before. And the counterpart to the light of God is the sound of God. This sound mimics, or shall I say, the sounds of nature mimic this sound of God. And the sounds of God that nature mimics are such as birds or musical instruments. Other times it can be the sound of a train or a plane or rockets, or it can be crickets or some other sound like the high energy of a motor or an engine, something of this nature that will come. Again, this is the action of the voice of God working within you to leave you a little better, a little bit more purified spiritual than before the experience. Each time your point of view shifts a little bit more in line with the spiritual, a little bit more in line with the divine, so that your viewpoints will slowly change from those people around you. In time, you'll find it very difficult to understand why people even bother with prayers to constantly beg for something, as if life on earth entitles them to anything simply for asking.
After listening to Harold's talk, The Slow Burning Love of God, I found myself sitting with this, not just hearing it, but reflecting on my own life. And I started realizing something. And I think this is what the message was gently pointing me to. Not just to hear it, but to see myself in it. Some experiences with God are not meant to be had, but are meant to be felt. And I want to share something I reflected on deeply about giving and receiving. I had to ask myself, why is it sometimes so hard for us to give? Not just material things, but ourselves, our time, our love, our openness. And maybe if you are honest with yourself too, maybe you have felt that hesitation before. That moment where you want to give and something inside you pulls you back. Maybe it might be fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of being not appreciated, and fear of giving something so real and it's not valued. Or sometimes, maybe it's not just fear of rejection. It's also because when we gave before, we were expecting something in return. And when that did not happen, it hurts. And I had to ask myself, was I truly giving or was I holding onto an expectation? Because when there is an expectation, that changes the giving. And that's where the hurts began. And without even realizing it, something in us closes. So now, even when we want to give again, we hold back without understanding why. And again, I started realizing something. That hesitation that is closing doesn't stop us only from giving to people. It can also stop us from receiving. Because when the heart is closed in many directions, it slowly becomes closed in many ways. And I had to ask myself, how many times have I been asking and asking, praying, hoping, and expecting, but not really pausing long enough to listen? Not just to listen with the ears, but also to listen with the heart. Because what if the answers we are looking for are not always coming through the noise, but through the stillness? And it made me reflect deeper. Maybe it's not that we are not just receiving. Maybe we are not just open enough to notice what is already flowing. And I had to sit with this question. When was the last time I truly gave without fear, without holding back, without expecting? And when was the last time I simply allowed myself to receive without doubt, without overthinking, just openness? Because maybe this is what the teaching is pointing to. Before you receive, you must give. And maybe giving is not just about others. Maybe it is also about giving trust, giving openness, giving your heart space to be available again. So I would love to leave you with this reflection. And if possible, that the same fear or even past expectations are the very things blocking what you've been praying for. Because maybe you are not far from receiving as we think, Maybe we are just not open yet. And sometimes the deepest shift begins here, not in asking more, but in becoming still enough to listen. If this reflection spoke to you in any way, I hope it continues to stay with you beyond this moment. And I'll be sharing more reflections as I continue my journey of learning and growing through these experiences. If you feel connected to this space and you want to walk this journey with me, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Until next time, may the light and sound of God guide your path. May the blessing be. I love you all. Mwah.